We've covered, in the previous videos, we've covered generating an application. We've gone through an overview of IronSpeed controls, and we've just generally talked about what happens when IronSpeed binds to a database and generates an application for us. In the next series of videos, what I want to talk about are the features and functions that are exposed to us from the IronSpeed menu bar. And the reason I've chosen to break the videos up by menu is because it makes a compact, concise set of topics that really do relate to one another very well. And so in an overview or preparation for this video, what I've done is I've generated an IronSpeed application that I've bound to the pubs database that gets installed by default to an SQL Server 2000 installation. And I've bound IronSpeed to it. I selected all the tables, and I even pulled in the one view that's included, and that's what we're looking at right now, is the application that IronSpeed generates. This particular video is going to be spent discussing what's exposed to us with the Tools menu, and we're just going to get started right away by talking about the Tools menu. And let's go ahead and look at the page properties and talk a little bit about page properties and how they relate to what developers need to do in an application. When IronSpeed binds to an application database, by default it will generate 4 pages for us. And let's go ahead and talk about that for a second. This is the authors table of the pub database, and by default IronSpeed, assuming that it's got a primary key to bind to, it's going to generate 4 pages for us. And that's a real key point to understand, is that if the table that you've bound IronSpeed to does not have a primary key assigned to it, it's only going to generate 2 pages for you. So if you ever see in your application you don't see the comfortable 4 different pages listed right through here, you only see 2, that's a cue right away that you forgot a primary key. That's a little bit off topic, but I think it's a good thing to mention here. So coming back to it, when IronSpeed does generate an application, it will generate 4 different pages for us. As we can see, IronSpeed has selected the Show Authors Table page, and the green arrow means that this is the default page that's going to show at application startup. Now, every page in an IronSpeed application has various properties that are associated with it, and these can be text properties, control properties, labels, just a whole host of properties. I don't have time to go into them all. What I'm going to do is show you how you can get at those properties individually, and you can configure them on a per page, per control basis. So let's go ahead and unpin this Explorer and go back into the tools. So here we are again. We're in our show table page, and I'm going to go to the page properties, and let's spend a second talking about what we have in this page that's available to us. Logically, the page is broken up into the page header, the menu, the page footer, and then the controls that are on the page in between the header and the footer. A nice layout here. It kind of makes sense. We have a tree view. If you find this view is a little bit cluttered and not to your liking, go ahead and select the area that you want to work with and then hide the tree. That cleans up your interface for you. I like to keep the tree open, and I just drag my slider around depending on what my needs are. With the authors table control, if you come in here and explore, you can see right away what each of these properties is doing for us. This is a real simple, easy to use interface. I don't think that there's anything here that requires a lot of explanation. If this authors table control was actually a Visual Studio ASPX control, in here we could add control properties that we're used to working with that are part of Visual Studio controls. If we wanted to add them in, we can do that here. That's something I will cover in a later video. But these are this is the page property overview, and what I want to do is just encourage you, instead of thinking, gosh, that's great, I'll just skip over that for now. I would really encourage you to open this, mess around with properties, get comfortable with how things work, how certain actions that you take within this page wizard will affect your application, and then Of course, when you're done applying those changes, you want to click OK to save them. and then you always want to rebuild your application and run it. I would suggest anytime you leave one page to go work in another page, you rebuild your application. If you've done something that's caused errors, you're going to see them. It's just, I think it's a good approach for working in IronSpeed. So we've talked a bit about page properties. The application wizard I covered in a previous video. Let's just go ahead and see this really quickly, how we can come in and really at any time we can change various aspects of our application. We can come back in. If we want, we can change the language. We can change, various settings are exposed to us. If you look at this application wizard compared to the one that we have when we're creating a new application, there's a few more choices in the new application wizard. IronSpeed Designer smartly takes those out once we've generated and built the application. It removes the ones that are going to have a bad impact on you if you change them at this point. Aside from that, you can go ahead and change the page style anytime you want. There's no problems there. Database servers, if you feel like you need to switch that, or even remove tables. Sometimes it might be necessary. You've made a mistake in a page and you just want to start over. If you just remove that page from the application and then add it back in, you get a fresh start. I think that's good to know. So anyway, that's just the application wizard in a nutshell. Application generation options. This is kind of cool. As you get more familiar with IronSpeed, and I say that a lot, but it's really true. IronSpeed is just something you need to spend some time getting your feet wet with. Don't expect to just pick it up and know all there is to know right away. It's a very powerful development tool. It's a rich tool, and it's just going to take you some time to come up to speed and be familiar with it. But when you're generating applications now, they've exposed the ability for us to control certain aspects of this process. They've given us control over whether or not we generate show table pages, edit table pages. By default, that's set to no. It's one I like to set to yes, and I usually take the show table page and set it to no, because all of my clients just want to be able to edit the records that they see there. And there's various business reasons for why you would or wouldn't do that, and that's up to you. Here we can set page level options, and again, I'm not going to go through all of these, but just be aware that this is here, and spend some time going through each one. I guarantee it's going to be time well spent, and it's going to increase your knowledge of IronSpeed and what you'll be able to do with it, so it's never a bad way to go. And that's just the application generation options. Let's move down to configuring the menu. This is a really, I think this is probably a pretty cool control in my opinion. Here we can change the navigational aspects of the generated application. We can add new menu items. We can change the order of menu items by selecting an item and moving it up or down. We can even change what menu items are linked to. Just click here on this hyperlink, and now we have the option of changing the default that that's linked to. We can see which page it's going to link to when clicked. So there's not a whole lot of mystery here with this control. I think this wizard is real intuitive, very easy to use. If you do need to change your navigation, maybe you've added a page to your application and you want to add a menu element here, this is the place to do it. Configuring the start page. Again, straightforward. I don't think there's a whole lot of discussion that needs to happen here. Feel free to select whatever page you want as your start page. Let me go ahead and show you another way to do that. You can right-click. You can right-click any page, and there's a context menu for setting it as the start page. And I think that's outside of my recordable window, but just select any page, and then when you right-click it, you do have the option to set it as a start page. And that covers my overview. Role-based security wizard. The role-based security wizard is kind of a topic that I will reserve for its own video. It'll be a short video, but I think it's important enough to segregate it off on its own. So that will conclude this portion of the video series covering the tool menu. And stay tuned for the next one, where we will actually just dive right into role-based security. Thank you.